Can't I just be like everybody else? And why do I have to be the weird one? I just want to be like everybody else. We're going to talk about being set apart for something different, something amazing. I thought about how discouraged I can get that I have to begrudgingly not cuss or not live the way I want to live and do whatever I want to do with my life or body or mind. It's like, no, you're set apart for a greater purpose. I'm anchored to someone greater than myself. The fact that I even get to serve the Lord elevates my purpose. We'll see tonight a glorious purpose in God, of an elevation in your purpose and your life when you anchor it to God. I want to fit in with my people and not be the weirdo or the prude or the person who stops all the fun. I don't want to be the fun sucker. I want to be liked. I need to be liked. I have to be liked. So do not watch The Office, okay? It's just, so it is a problem if you have to be liked so much that you're unwilling to be different, to be set apart. You are designed to stand out. You are designed to be different. God actually made you and created you with a purpose, and you're special. That is part of being holy, as the call for a Christian, is a special designation, kind of like fine china that has special use, the plates that you only bring out for a party versus the paper plates. There's this special plate or this special cup. You know your favorite cup? You know what I'm saying? Or like the nice cup for a party. I think of that when I think about set apart, and it's not common use that you're called for. It's actually special use for God, for a purpose, for His people in His glory. How do you want me to act compared to Egypt, compared to the other nations? How am I supposed to behave in connection to those around me? And God was going to show them.
For you are holy people set apart to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you out of all the peoples on the face of the earth to be a people for His own possession. That is His very special treasure.
You've been called as a special possession, set apart and holy, a holy people. God declared for them that now on they're to be holy. They're not to be like the other nations. The Hebrew word here means to be set apart. The word for holy here actually has the same Hebrew root for the word temple. It's the word picture that when you walk into a city, usually the first thing you would see in that temple was the large, like a tower or something set apart about that city. A uniquely designed architecture of mine that displays my glory, and I have crafted for a purpose. That you are called to be different and to look different. What city is this? Louisiana. Correct. New York. Who said Paris? All right, you're ready. I kind of hid the Eiffel Tower back there. You notice those cities based on the scape of the city. It immediately catches your attention that you see as New York or Paris. And the things of that city cry out to your attention, and you notice, oh, I noticed that tower. It's distinctly Paris or distinctly New York. And likewise, Christian, God is calling you to live differently for Him, to do things according to His plan, His word, by His Spirit. And when people look at you, catch this, you're to catch their attention as reflecting someone else's beautiful, something beautiful about your life because you're holy. Holiness is not some greater, like I'm better than you. Holiness is not some attitude. It's a designation as set apart for God's special, glorious purposes that affect everything from the way you live to what you choose not to do. Not because by not doing those things you're earning something, but you are looking to someone who has called you to live different. And when the other nations interacted with the Israelites in that verse, they knew something was different about those people. Something's different about those people. They're called to, in fact, if you read the Old Testament and you're a little confused, why are they making them not eat shrimp? And some people will use that text to kind of like disprove the whole Bible. Like, gotcha, we found a verse that talks about shrimp, so the whole Bible is not true. When you read this in context, God is doing something beyond don't eat shrimp, don't wear 2 types of fabric. He's trying to create a people that look different. And some of that that's not repeated in the New Testament is part of the Old Covenant. Let me briefly summarize that for you in a way that makes sense. Back in the day, they had this thing called paper, and they used it all the time. They still do for terms. If you go buy a car and you don't pay attention and read the terms, you sign that sucker, and you follow the terms of that contract. You might sign a lease, and in that lease are the terms of the contract. Okay, so people still use paper. Believe it or not, it's still used at times. Okay, I know y'all don't even know what that is, and you just scroll through the terms, but as you'll learn either the hard way or not, those terms actually matter. What's written in that contract matters, and if you sign that, whether digitally or with your fingerprint, you're accepting the terms of that contract. Back in the day, again, hundreds of years ago, they had these things called cell phones that were flip phones. You had Nokia that you could just be like, boom, and it lived forever. And you could play Snake on it. And it was awesome. And so these phones that you don't know nothing about, but you can understand this, and it was a cell phone contract. Back in the day, in 2008, there was a unlimited data contract with AT&T for $30 a month when the iPhone came out. Because I was there when these things were written in 2008. It was so long ago, and it was you walk into an actual store. They had stores back then. You could walk into them, and they weren't falling apart. People went to these stores. I know, it's crazy. They'd walk into the store, and they'd look at things, and they'd buy it there. I know, it's crazy, but that's what we did a long time ago. And you'd look at the phone, and you'd play with the phone, and they didn't even have it attached like they do now. You could take it. You could pick it up and look at it. And there was a big sign that had the terms and agreement for the iPhone, AT&T. If you sign up for this iPhone, you get unlimited data. There was no asterisk that said we stop it after 22 gigabytes. It was like true unlimited data. It was $30 a month. And once you sign this contract, you actually could keep it forever unless you got grandfathered out of it back in the day. I don't know how they've wiggled around it or how they move people out, but it was like you got to keep $30 a month for unlimited data. If you sign a new contract, some of the things in the old contract stay, but some of them are rendered void. So you have a new contract signed in 2012, and it's not all different from the old. There's some new. And that is a way of looking at the new covenant and the old covenant. When people try to pull out references from the Old Testament out of context, and then now your whole Christianity falls apart because you've never even sat and thought about this verse that seemed crazy in the Old Testament, you remember this very brief apologetic summary that is, I follow the new covenant. I'm a Christian. Do you know what that means? Well, no, I don't. It means that I follow Jesus and the new covenant, which is there's part of the new covenant that includes some of the old. Does that make sense? And there's some that is rendered that it's not relevant to us anymore. Jesus says that. The New Testament says that. The Apostle says that. The Bible teaches that in the New Testament. Right? They go through this in many cases. I don't have time to go into each one. But if you remember the contracts that I gave you, that illustration, that will work for understanding why, well, it's in the Old Testament, so you got to follow it. Well, I read this verse, so you don't follow that? You explain to them, okay, some things take a minute to explain, so give me 30 seconds here. I'm a Christian. I follow the new covenant. I follow the New Testament. It's like a contract that is updated from the Old Testament. So things that are included in the New Testament, there are things that still reference the Old Testament, but there are other things that are not relevant to me today. So the fact that you quoted that verse about no tattoos, I know you feel like you just own me, but you didn't, because that's not in the New Testament, and we don't follow that. I'm not Jewish. I think you think you're talking to a Jewish person, but I'm not Jewish. So we're in the New Covenant. We're New Covenant believers. We follow what it teaches, and we're to be holy. We're to be set apart. He called you to that school for a reason. there's a particular group of people that need to see your holiness. And hear me say this. If you're not living holy, you're dragging Christ's name through the mud, there's forgiveness and grace, but it's like taking a fine piece of china and just putting dog food in it. Eating the dog food out of it, it's kind of gross. You are a precious, holy people called to greatness and to reflect God to the nations, and yet you're acting just like the people who don't know God. And that's confusing to them. It's degrading to your call. It's a waste of your time. There's no joy in that, and it's offensive eventually to a holy God who's given you instructions over and over and over again. And the more a coach tells you what to do, first time it's an accident, the 10th time you're learning, the 20th or 30th time the coach tries to tell you what to do, and you deliberately do the opposite, that coach starts to get ticked, right? Because I've told you what to do, so at some point God's patience, which is much greater than mine, will turn to frustration and say, I've given you these people, and yet you still reject my word. That's going to eventually lead to the wrath of God if you know the truth of God and you still run to look just like the world because you don't want to stick out. God forbid that you get made fun of for your faith. I think getting made fun of for your faith might be a good thing for some of us. If you're not willing to follow Jesus through a little bit of bumps on the road, maybe you're not really in it all the way. And so some of that persecution or bullying or whatever that can happen, if you want to call it social media pressure, could be good to see who's really in it to win it. The Lord did not set his heart on you, and he did not choose you, Deuteronomy 7:8, because you were so awesome, because you were so talented, and because you were a social media creator with content that was so alluring. He says, I did not choose you because you were of anything in you. I'm summarizing. He says, because you were greater than the other nations. Rather, I chose you because I love you, and I want to keep my oath I swore to your ancestors, and that's why I've chosen you, for my name's sake. So God has called you, Christian, you, not just the Israelites. He's called you and called you apart and called you to be different and to look different for a purpose. Who can I bring to the Lord? How can I bring him glory? What platform do I have to share for him? What friends on my soccer team can I reflect Christ to? How can I leverage my short life for the kingdom? I got a friend who was my age who just passed away in a car wreck instantly last week. And all his friends are like, man, it's so short. And his wife, I saw her post on Facebook today as a widow. He has a daughter. And I was texting my friends like, hey, I'm sorry. Guys that were closer to him than me, I'm so sorry for your loss. And they're like, I know he's with Jesus, but it's really hard. And one thing that Dylan wanted to share and what his wife shared was just remember that life is very short. Don't take anything for granted. Live your life for Jesus as much as you can and as long as you can, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know. So remember that your life is short, but we want to burn brightly for Jesus.